Yes, Sanjeev, I think we should start. Yeah.
I think we should start in the interest of time.
Yeah.
Uh,
And any questions on the chat, I'll keep on answering them. But yeah,
All
you can
right.
kick start, Sanjeev.
Yeah. Thanks, Aurab. So we will start the project and the entire event that sort of we have organized. So we'll just do a sort of housekeeping and some sort of how we are going to run this project. So a bit of briefing. So you guys know what coming in the next few weeks to say. So people who have joined our project 1 and 2 or our boot camps, they are very well aware how we usually run them. But people who have joined recently, this group basically has people who have just signed up for project 3, where we will be setting up an organization, try to understand what goes into setting up entire AWS-based SaaS company. The other group is from our mentorship part, where we have like long running program where we help them build complex projects. Every weekend we run some sessions with them. So there are a bunch of people from that part as well. And once the project is finished, then we will continue that mentorship program. It's a long running program, and see if you guys are interested, any of you, you can check that out as well. All our past projects, boot camps, future boot camps. We're starting a AWS boot camp shortly in February. So everything gets included for them. And it's only a weekend sort of thing where a lot of other things also we cover. Uh, what about this one? So how do we run this? We won't be getting into introductions and all sort of things. You guys, most of you are aware, myself, I'm Sanjeev, based out of Sydney, Australia. I'm a DevOps and cloud architect, mainly working on Azure and AWS. Uh, I'm joined by Saurabh, who is also based out of Australia in Melbourne. And he's also an enterprise architect and brings lots of experience in DevOps and cloud space. So we run this YouTube channel, and through that we try to help community. We are trying to build a sort of community which is working on complex things. We have found that people are learning very basic things in the industry. We want to take that to next level, because when we interview people, when we try to hire folks, we struggle. They don't have the right sort of experience. So many of them reach out that they have done a basic course somewhere, or those misleading sort of courses which don't give the right level of information and right level of knowledge. That is the main problem that we are trying to solve, that make them job ready. So we are trying to build those complex scenarios, those complex setup, so that you can answer those things in the interviews. You can use those sort of skills at your day-to-day job. So by going through this project, you will come to know a lot of scenarios and things that are possible. A lot of people who are certified also don't even get to work on those areas. So that's the objective. At the same time, the challenge is that we also have to make it little simplified version of a complex project. So we try to simplify through some different mechanisms. So instead of creating complex Kubernetes cluster and taking you through a long, complex scenarios, we will try to work on a lot of concepts. The idea is you should know the possibilities in the cloud. What is possible? What would you do? What would you consult in if you encounter a specific situation? So that is the idea. We have around 80, 90, 89 people joined. So let me share my screen and show you how we're going to run this. Yes, recording will be provided. That's a very common question people are asking. Yes, every session will be recorded and it will be provided to the registered participants on your in the same WhatsApp group that you are part of. I'll just take 10-15 minutes initially to brief you what we're going to build, why we are building this, and that sort of thing. You guys can see my screen, right?
Yes.
So we will try to set up a SaaS company in the cloud. That is the objective. So we will talk about what goes into setting up a company. But before that, I usually start with some sort of thoughts that, why we are doing this. I know a lot of you understand the value in doing a complex project or a project per se, because people lack that experience. Basic knowledge is just not enough. It's a quite an employer friendly market. They'll try to look for a perfect fit. So if you haven't worked on all the use cases that are possible in the cloud, you probably with just a basic zero to hero course, you can't do it, because those courses will be very high level. They will tell you those basic scenarios that, yes, create a EC2, create a website, run a pipeline and done with it. But they won't go next level. Cloud is getting older. It's not a new technology anymore. Myself working more than 6, 7 years already. And I myself found that there were veterans at that time when I joined in. So it's an old technology and getting matured. So not knowing the best practices, the industry level experience, not going to go anywhere further. So you need to up your game. You need to build the complex projects, industry level projects, and understand the processes, how things work in an organization. And we'll talk about in later on where the gaps are, because you probably people do some practice and things. They will do it in one AWS account, one environment. They will assume that everything is production, and that's how they will proceed. And the interviews will usually focus on the good practices, best practices. What do you do in this scenario? It's very easy to learn cloud, but it's very difficult to implement in the cloud, because to achieve certain things, there are hundreds of ways possible. As a DevOps engineer, as a cloud engineer, as a cloud architect, you need to know the right path, the best possible path to your solution. And obviously, if you are fresher or somebody starting their career, don't stay fresher. Build such project. Nobody likes freshers, so don't be one of them. Build such projects and highlight yourself as an experienced person. That is the reason why we are doing these sort of projects. Project is very suitable for all levels. Entry level people who are joining the industry, you should know basic AWS, basic DevOps concepts. We will be able to take it to next level. If you are an experienced IT professional switching to DevOps or cloud space, it's still relevant for you. Again, you should have basic knowledge. You should bring some knowledge, simple pipelines, simple AWS stuff you should know, and then we will add value. I have seen a lot of experienced IT professionals. They also have their day job experience, but still they lack good practices. They lack those additional things. So for example, if they are working on a specific tool or a specific technology, they don't get to explore additional things, how things might be working outside of their company. So it's even relevant for people who are experienced. Myself, like we discovered these skills, these possibilities after a while. It's not that day one we started working on it. Day one obviously is your compute, networking, those database, those are the basic services that you start with. But over a period of time, you start realizing that there are additional cloud services that are useful and that should be explored. How would we go about this? So we will conduct this weekly session. We will guide you what needs to be done. We will do part of the project, because we have to make sure that you learn the concepts. We may not be doing a lot of automation from ourselves. So I'll be probably doing a lot of things on the console. A lot of things I will be show you how it works. What is expected from you is that you take that knowledge, you build that level over the next week. You come to that level that, yes, you have tried those things in your accounts, your hands-on experience. You build a good GitHub repository for that, and so that you can justify those sort of pipelines and stuff that we will be building. That is how the success looks like. That's how it will be useful. The third point is that at the end of the project, you should have a GitHub repository where you can show this project. You can talk about this project. You can highlight this in your resume that you have worked on a project, you have worked for a company where you have demonstrated their multi-account, multi-region capabilities, and you can use this as a 6 months, 1 year, 2 years level of experience, that you have done it multiple times for that company, these activities, and it was quite a challenge, and the issues that you faced. And basically, you should be able to explain this smartly in a way to justify quite a bit of experience. At least 6 months can go up to even 1 year, 1.5 years as well. Depends how closely you do it, how better you understand the concepts, how well you do it in your accounts. And when I say when you have to do it in your accounts, there will be a bit of cost associated with it. These are not, all of them are not free tier services. There will be cost, but it won't be that much. It would probably be in the range of $10-15. That's one of the reason we usually keep a fee for the project also. People, all of you have credit cards, access to credit cards, access to AWS accounts, because there will be some cost. It's not, you can learn Docker, Kubernetes, I mean, through Minikube and stuff on your laptop. You don't have to pay for that. But when you have to learn a cloud platform, unfortunately, there is no free way to do that, especially when you have to do slightly complex project. So we will end up, the overall project, you will end up spending some money, but it won't be that big. It's worth the effort. It's worth the kind of experience you are getting. And we will also try, even if you don't do it, don't implement it, we will try to make sure that, because we are demonstrating some of the concepts, you learn regardless of whether you do it or not. But the best results will be when you actually do it with your hands yourself. As I mentioned, recordings will be provided, so you can follow that along. The PDF that we will talk about, that will be shared in the group, and it will be updated every week. So it will be one version today. Some next 5 weekends, the other versions will evolve. And similar sort of pattern we will follow. You will get a Zoom link on your WhatsApp next Sunday, same time, and you guys just join that. So make sure you put your alarms or your reminders on your side, so you get reminded. The project we will be discussing has extensive use case. So we don't want to bring a project which is does not cover all sort of aspects. So the project that we will be talking, we calling it a SaaS company, but you can apply it in banking, financials. A lot of large organizations, mid-tier, all those companies will encounter these issues and would look to solve these problems. So it applies to all the sectors, financial, banking. We will be talking about cost management, security, compliance, policies, automation, all sort of things. They are applied across the market, across the industry. So you can see later on, you can go through it, where exactly which sort of domains this project is useful, and a lot of other areas in terms of e-commerce, healthcare, banking, retail, where it's useful. So the project we are trying to bring is a bit of generic in nature, which can cover those concepts you can apply in any industry. And obviously, we keep it open. We don't. We will have question answer sessions during the project, after the project. Every week when we start session, we will open up for questions before we get into the next sort of activities. What you have learned from the past week, what if you have any questions from the past week, those sort of things. It's not, the idea is that even though we will try our best to cover everything, but the success depends on how well you understand it. So if you have some questions, we will encourage them, bring them. We may not know the answers right away. We will try our best to answer here in the stream, here in this session. But if we are not able to answer, we will answer it in the subsequent session. So that sort of open culture. Just keep yourself mute throughout the session, but when we open it for questions, just make notes of it so you can ask all the questions. So that it's not an interruption to everyone. We will open for questions every half an hour, 1 hour, and then obviously the next sessions you can always have more questions. So any questions so far? You have any doubts that you want to clarify.
There have been a couple of questions on chat, but I believe nothing is outstanding in there. But if there's anything, feel free to ask it.
Sorry guys, my name is Vikram. Can you hear me?
Yep,
Yes.
Vikram.
Yeah, sorry guys. Okay, so I have a question actually. Because I didn't join the project one and project two. This is the first time I'm joining, so the meeting and also following you guys. So I have a lot of questions actually. So let's say because we do have a limited time session for these 2 hours. So if let's say I have more questions to be asking you, I shall WhatsApp you guys personally because if let's say I require more attention, more information, can I do that actually? Just want to double confirm.
If the questions are project specific, yes, we encourage asking in this session itself. Yeah, I know it's scheduled for 2 hours, but it can take 3 hours, 4 hours. If you have time, we also have time. Don't worry on that. We will try our best to answer. But if
Okay.
there are two basic questions where you have to go back and learn something, and then you will understand those concepts, we'll tell you where the gaps are. If
Okay.
if it is relevant to project, we encourage it asking in the group itself over here, so that if those questions are relevant to others as well, not everybody is able to ask questions sometimes. So
Yeah.
they get benefits also.
Okay. Can
Keep it
so
relevant.
if yeah, correct. It's all about the project only. So if let's say out of the session, I do have questions. I do can buzz you guys personally also, right? Regarding of this.
We prefer in the group that we discuss in the group itself.
Okay.
Personally, taking calls and all would definitely not be feasible for us.
Not
So
for
that
maybe I can just
yes,
message you.
that's why the group is. So WhatsApp group number 3 that we have for participants, we will open it for
Okay.
discussions. We will see if people
Okay.
are able to help each other, answer each other, that kind of thing. Then we don't have to interrupt. If everybody is struggling, you need clarifications, then obviously we are always there to help. So group
Okay.
number 3, which is our project group, WhatsApp group, we will open it for everybody. Again, request, keep it relevant in that group. Don't forward any irrelevant stuff. Keep the discussion short. If you guys have to, in project 2 and 1, we have found that people do Zoom call outside of the group. Like for example, somebody stuck in Jenkins setup or some basic stuff in those projects. They would help each other outside of the group, and that's the way they have been helping each other.
Okay. Okay.
You help people, you have some clarity, I'm sure other people will come forward and help each other. That's one way we have seen.
Okay. Okay. Ken.
Sanjeev, are we going to what type of application will be using for this project? Like, is it Kubernetes based or?
We'll talk about it.
Okay. Okay.
We'll talk about
Sir,
why
I
we
have
are
one
talking
question.
about the application today, because before the application arrives, there are other things to be done.
Okay.
Right? When you build a house, we don't start with what windows, what doors will be used. We'll talk about the root, the
Yeah.
foundation, and how many levels there will be, and based on that, you will design the overall house structure.
Okay.
Then we will talk about what apps, what sofa, and what windows.
Sir, I have one question.
Yep.
Sir, we'll follow your lecture. I mean, we will do together with you, or after your class we will do.
After this class, if we do it now, people will be at different levels and it will be a chaos. It will be very difficult to manage. You guys follow this, do it in your accounts afterwards.
Thank you, sir.
Right now, focus here on the screen, on the conversation. I'm sure there are a lot of experienced people as well in the group, people coming from our mentorship groups. I know people have extensive experience, so they will add a lot of value to what we are talking. So that's the biggest part. So from mentorship, because we are talking to them on frequently week to week basis, we have quite experienced people, and they will add a lot of value. So just follow the conversation. Try to avoid distractions during the session. So you are focused on your screen. Have pen and paper for asking any questions later on, or making some notes as well.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Uh, Hi Sanjay.
Hi.
Will you be correlating on to the AWS only, or in particular, or it may be you will be correlating to the GCP and as well as Azure?
Right now, main focus is on AWS.
Yeah, when the things happening, right? Can you be correlating whatever the words
Yeah, we
or
can.
terminologies to
Yes, yes.
yeah, okay.
All
Hi,
right.
Sanjeev.
So,
Yeah, I have one question.
yes,
Yeah, are you also discussing the project requirement, scope of work, or just starting with the development?
we'll discuss as we progress. We will talk about requirements. We'll talk about those things as well. Yes. Yep.
Hi, Sanjeev. Sanjeev, I have a query. So, are we going to discuss the entire low-level design and high-level design? And
Yep.
are we going to into the troubleshoot part of the project as well? If we're going to get stuck somewhere in various aspects.
That's
So,
what that's what I mentioned to one of the previous question. Because we have a WhatsApp group, we will try to help each other if we are stuck at certain point. And that's how we will progress. If everybody is stuck, there is no way forward, then we will jump on to resolving that issue.
all right.
The
And
challenge
also,
is
like,
that everybody will be setting up in their own environment, in their own sort of, because we keep it generic, we don't specify very low level details that do it on Windows or do it on Linux, this version, that version. So you are free to try it on different version and different platforms. So that make it quite difficult to debug everybody's issues.
yeah, here comes the question now. So if we're going to use different tools as we like, is there a way that we can decide on like which tools? Because as an architect, would be requiring to understand like what tools brings you what.
We will tell you what we should be doing, but we will not restrict you. We encourage open culture. So if, for example, we will be doing it in GitLab, you are free to experiment and do it in GitHub Actions. That's what we have seen in Project 1 and 2. The concepts remain the same. We will be not working very closely to a specific platform. We will be demonstrating in a specific platform, but uh, if in your company you use GitHub Actions or you use Jenkins for that matter, you can still implement that. You're free to do that sort of interchangeability of certain tools. Not everything. Obviously, it's an AWS specific, so some of the AWS services will be used. Some of the concepts. Main idea is that we are working towards concepts, the processes that are followed in the organizations, not so much on tool specific. That's why we don't publish a lot of tools knowledge, tool specific stuff, that we are setting up an organization now. Now, there could be different tools, technologies, processes everybody would be exploring. So we will give you a lot of options. We will have extend targets that, okay, we have done this, how you can take it to further next level and spend some more time and build that project and make it even more complex. So we'll talk about all those things.
Last question from me. So, as we have seen that companies use multi-account and multi-cloud as well. So when getting into a project, how would we gonna decide like which services we are gonna pick from which cloud? So are we gonna look into that part as well?
Multi-cloud, we will not look into that. This is a multi-account, multi-environment project that we are dealing with. We will get into we'll talk about some scenarios where how we can use certain Azure services and where we will use them. And that's one of the extended goal we have also. But we will not talk about choosing services across accounts, and that's not the objective of the project.
All right, that's it. Thank you.
Maybe we do a project 4 later on in future, which talks about multi-cloud.
I'll look
Right. So
forward
we
to
have
it.
to be restricted by some scope, by some target. Otherwise, there's like it's limitless sort of options there.
Absolutely, I understand.
If we go to
Thank you.
multi-cloud, then we have on-prem setup, then we don't have any sort of limit to it. All right. No more questions.
Hi, I have one questions. Are we going to cover AWS control tower as well, like to set up a multi-setup environment, or any other things we are going to use it for that to set up a multi-account environment in AWS?
That's what we will be using. That's one of the objective of the project.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question here. Should we implement with by using Terraform or any ISC tool, or only by from the console?
We will discuss that. It will.
Okay.
Let's get into the project. Any questions on the process? Anything else?
Sanjay, there is a question from Aditya in chat.
Last 2 minutes, guys. We'll then move on to the project. Otherwise, most of the questions those will be answered as we go. That's what I understand. Aditya has question. Can you please provide the headline of the project and the key points related to it? What we have to put in our resume. Sorry, my mic isn't working. We'll get to that, what we have to put in resume. And towards the end of the project, we will talk about how you have to build that story, what you have to speak in your resume, what you have to speak in your interviews. All that will follow. That's why have patience. Let's spend next 5 weeks officially, but we can extend it if needed. And and as I mentioned, it's part of the mentorship program as well. So we will be discussing on this topic for quite some time. We will explain you how you have to put it in your resume, what that headline would be, and how you would explain that. All that will follow. Okay. With that, I'll stop the streaming on YouTube, and then we will have a private Zoom session.